Good afternoon, dear students. A warm welcome to all of you for this BOS for Success session. I am your guide, mentor for today's session and faculty at Board of Studies, C. Aparna Chauhan. In today's session, I am going to guide you what would be your examination strategies, what are the preparation strategies you have to follow for attempting this paper, and what are the critical things, while attempting the paper, you have to be very careful for this paper, elective paper 6C International Taxation. Before proceeding with our session, first thing I know that you all are aware of what are the relevant publications, but still I would like to tell you what are the relevant publications which you have to be aware of for doing the preparation of this paper. See, the study material, October 2021 edition is relevant for you. The study material is updated by the Finance Act 21, which was relevant for assessment year 22-23, but for you, the relevant assessment year AY 23-24. So for that, the amendments made by the Finance Act 22 are relevant for you. These amendments are being covered in the supplementary study paper. In the supplementary study paper 22. This supplementary study paper contains the amendments made by the Finance Act 22 and the notifications and circulars up to 31st of October 22. But for November 23 examination, the cutoff date for your amendments is 6 months prior to your examination. That is 30th of April 23, right? So up to that, but as for your international paper, there is no such amendments, there is no such circulars or notification which are being issued, which are very significant to be covered from 1st of November to 30th April. So there is no start update. Whereas in case of final paper 7, why I'm talking about final paper 7 here is, see, the international taxation, of course, is the combination of your Income Tax Act and the international taxation things. Right? So Income Tax Act, which we cover everything in our paper 7. So that paper, you all are expected to be aware of the final paper 7 as well. So whatever be the amendments, the relevant study material, which is relevant for final paper 7 are relevant. You also have to study those things as well. Right? So for final paper 7, we have come out with a start update, which cover the notifications from 1st November 22 to 30th April 23. Right? So that you have to refer. Along with that also for final paper 7, you have to study the elective study material, elective paper study material, October 21 edition. That you have to read along with the supplementary study paper 22, as well as you have to study with the final paper 7 study material, which is October 21 edition, and along with the supplementary study paper, which we have come out for the paper 7, supplementary study paper 22, which will come out for final paper 7 also, right? So the supplementary this is must for you. This supplementary study paper, we have divided into chapter wise for the sake of your easy reference with the study material. In line with your study material, the supplementary study paper is also divided chapter wise. So all the amendments in the supplementary study paper are given in the chapter wise form, right? So easy reference, you can easily refer to the study material along with read the supplementary study paper. Other than this, for example, the advanced ruling. Now the board for advanced ruling is relevant for you. Authority for advanced ruling is not now not relevant, not applicable. So whole of the chapter for that board for advanced ruling is given in a study material, right? So refer that chapter from the study material itself. Don't go to the CE or study material. So refer that board for advanced ruling. There at the end of the chapter in the supplementary study paper, there is a note wherein it is mentioned that which of the questions you have to ignore in this chapter. So ignore those questions which are being written in that note. And other than this, other questions which are relevant, it's been clearly mentioned in the supplementary study paper. You have done these studies. Along with that, you are supposed to, do your studies with the Income Tax Act, income tax rules. These are also very relevant, very, very essential for you to to refer these things while doing your studies also, right? These are very essential things. You are also supposed to visit the income tax department website. You should know how to read the tax treaties, because model tax convention chapter is there for you to understand how to read the treaties, also how to apply it, how to understand the treaties while solving a problem solving, while solving a question. Right, so you should visit, you should go to the income tax department website, see the tax treaties also, to have a better understanding of the model tax conventions. Because certain places, some of the fact of the case study, the extract of the treaties are also given to you. So for to solve those type of questions, you should go and see the income tax department website, wherein the treaties, comprehensive treaties are given. Go through that one. The Income Tax Act, of course, Finance Act 22 is relevant for you. So the amendments made by the Finance Act 22 and the notification circulars which are being coming to till 30th of April are relevant for you. This thing. Then for doing the practice of the case study, this is a case study based paper. Whole is a case study based paper. For practicing your case studies, we have come out with a case study digest. It is January 22 edition. This case study digest also you have to read along with the supplementary study paper 22, right? Then for doing the we have also come out with the mock test paper. You should solve the mock test paper. You should solve the mock test paper under the examination condition. What do you mean by examination condition here is that you got 4 hours to attempt this paper. While doing your mock test paper, you should take a time of 4 hours only, right? And from this mock test paper also contains the 5 case studies. You have to select the 4 case studies. You are supposed to answer only 4 case studies that you have to indulge yourself in a selection procedure of the case studies. So same criteria which are going to follow in your examination, while doing your examination, you have to follow here also. Don't then and there read the case studies and read the answers given in your solution mock test paper solutions. Do attempt it yourself, then compare your answers with the solutions given in the mock test paper solutions, right? From there you will come to know what is the level of preparation you are having, right? And where you are going wrong, which are the areas you need to emphasize more, which are the areas you need to practice more. So work on those areas and make your notes then and there. These are the things where I'm going wrong. Here I need to do more practice. You will come to know only when you solve the questions, right? So while doing a case study digest also, do solve the questions. Do solve the questions, right? And don't directly compare your answers with the answers given there. You have to compare the answers only when you have completed it, and jot down the points and jot down the things where you are going wrong, right? So in that way you have to do your preparation for your examination. You all know that this is a duration is your 4 hours that I said to you. It's an open book examination. See, this name na open book, it really looks very good. It's very charming. It's an open book examination. It is very easy for us to attain such kind of papers. We are going to get the books and we can easily copy from the books and everything. But it is not so in case of international taxation. Frankly speaking, you have to prepare very well for this examination, right? Even though it's an open book examination, of course, in open book, what is the benefit to you for having an open book examination is you are not going, you need not to remember so many things. Certain things are available then and there, and you can easily open the books just to see the things which are required a lot of memory. So those things ke liye rote learn you need not to do. You can refer the book, open there, but before doing this now, you have to prepare very, very well, like you do for your closed examination. Until and unless you are having a very good understanding, very good application oriented skills you are not going to get a good marks in this, right? So at the time of, what do you think? At the time of examination, you are having only 4 hours. In 4 hours, you have to do 4 case studies, right? And doing these 4 case studies, which are having lot many information, And the questions are not only very straightforward directly, they are not knowledge based questions. You have to properly analyze the facts of the case studies, properly analyze understand the requirement of the question, see each and every information, what information is given, then only you have to answer. It is not directly, they are not going to ask you straightforward question. They would not be knowledge based questions will be asked from open book studies. So lot more information you have to analyze, then understanding of the provision is equally relevant. You have to apply those provisions on the facts of the case studies. So for that purpose, you need a proper preparation, proper practice, which you can do by way of case study digest or from reading the books properly, right? So open book में ये better है कि you can see there, for example, due dates are given in case of your secondary adjustment. Rates are given where the transaction is rupee denominated, then what interest rate has to be applicable. In case if it is foreign denominated, then what rate you have to take. For that purpose, you can directly refer. अगर वहां पे if you started looking there कि चलो it's an open book, we have so many books with ourselves and we can easily open those books and do your solutions, then it would not be possible for you. पहले तो first of all your answer would not be correct. You will not get any marks until and until you are writing as per the requirement of the question. So write there. So only write as per the requirement of the question. ठीक है? Do not copy and paste from the material you are having. Write what is the exact requirement. To that extent only you will fetch marks. Otherwise you are going to waste a lot of time. So preparation and strategy is still, it's an open book paper. It's very good. It's open book papers, but it's a 4 hours paper only. And for that purpose, you have to, understand each and everything. In 4 hours, you have to do 4 case studies after reading a lot of information, after reading the questions also. So preparation and strategy would be same as you are going to follow for the closed book examination and for the open book examination. But some benefits are there that you can just go and see and verify, confirm the rates or due dates or something, right? This is the thing. Then what are the, that 5 cases this in this paper, what is the paper pattern for the examination? This paper, elective papers generally are comprising of 5 case studies. They are comprising of 5 case studies and you are required to attempt any 4 case studies out of the 5. And each case study would be carrying 25 marks. Then this will be, in this 25 marks, 40% of your marks are allocated for your MCQ based questions and 60% for descriptive questions. 40% means 10 marks questions would be based on MCQ based questions and 15 marks, remaining 15 marks in the form of descriptive question in each case study. In the MCQ portion, each question would be of 2 marks each and there would be no negative marking. And you need not to give any kind of reasoning for answering the MCQ based question. In descriptive questions, of course, the answer has to be in accordance with your requirement of the question. Answer should be in accordance with the requirement of the question and in commensuration with the marks it carries, right? So in MCQ case things now, what happens? You have to, they would not be independent MCQs. If it is independent, it's well and good. You can directly straightforward and can answer it. But in this paper, largely the questions are based on your facts of the case studies. Facts of the case studies, you have to, when you read an MCQ, go and see the facts of the case studies fully. Read the information carefully, each and every information, each and every line matters. So read those information very, very minutely, very carefully, then only answer and attempt the MCQs. Otherwise, what happens? There is MCQs looks better that you need not to give any kind of reasoning, no negative marking is there. Of course, it is very good. But what happens if an MCQ goes wrong? If an MCQ goes wrong, then you are going to get only 0 mark, right? For that, you should be very sure while attempting the MCQs. Read all the options very carefully. because there might be chances that options are very closely related, right? If you see, this MCQ is just simply asking me to compute the interest rate. Suppose interest disallowance under section 94B it is asking. ठीक है, आपने ये पढ़ा, आपने क्या माइंड में जस्ट क्लिक द माइंड कि 30% इन एक्सेस ऑफ 30% यू हैव टू डिसअलाउ द थिंग्स. दिस इज फाइन, बट हो सकता है कि वहां पे आपके 94B की एप्लीकेशन ही ना हो. ठीक है, 94 की एप्लीकेशन क्यों ना हो? नॉन रेजिडेंट ए ही होना चाहिए. फिर आपकी थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट ना मीट कर रही हो, उसकी वजह से आपको आंसर नील होना चाहिए था, वहां पे मैं डिसअलाउंस कैलकुलेट करके आ गए. तो वो प्रॉब्लम नहीं होनी चाहिए. दैट शुड नॉट बी अ प्रॉब्लम. इस टाइप की इंफॉर्मेशन को आपको बहुत केयरफुली देखना है. लाइक इन केस ऑफ अगर आपका इंटरेस्ट पेड टू नॉन रेजिडेंट ए आपका 1 करोड़ से 1 करोड़ या 1 करोड़ से कम है, इट इज नॉट एक्सीडिंग 1 करोड़, 94 भी नहीं लगेगा. सिमिलरली इन केस ऑफ 92 से ए सेकेंडरी एडजस्टमेंट में, वहां पे आपकी प्राइमरी एडजस्टमेंट इज नॉट एक्सीडिंग दी 1 crore threshold limit और it is related to not exceeding, then 92 C भी नहीं लगेगा. अब वहां पे what you are going to do? आपको पूछे additional income tax you have to compute. हाँ, अभी first of all primary adjustment is itself it's not applicable. Secondary adjustment itself is not applicable. Why is the question of interest calculation? So these things now you have to be very careful कि भाई is it exceeding the threshold limit? Because it happens many times. In case of descriptive questions also it happens. We are going to compute everything. We disallow, we everything, do everything. We thought कि it's a 5-mark question and you have to answer accordingly. Without going into the things कि यहाँ पे its applicability is not itself attracted. Those things you have to be very careful. ठीक है? In case of descriptive also same things applies. So computation based question in descriptive में computation based question would be there. Application or analysis based question would be there. You have to be very alert, very apply your mind properly, read the facts of the case studies properly. Ki what are the facts? Certain information is given. For example, I will take you through an example where what happens now, they have given all the information for computation of total income and tax liability of a person. Whereas that person, your foreign exchange rates they have given, your income which accrues or arises or some information relating to that been given, right, outside India. But it appears that he is a resident or RNOR. But what happens when you go and see the information, it clearly says he become a non-resident or a deemed resident. उस केस में क्या हुआ, आपका वो information is not relevant for you at all to compute. They involve. So those things you have to be very careful. Your answer will undergo fully wrong. These things you have to keep in mind while doing your MCQs as well as descriptive questions. Ki the information is given to you, is it really required to you to involve it doing your answer? Because आपको first hand पे वो person is not non-resident. First hand पे that person become RNOR. So those things you have to keep very carefully read the things or carefully understand the things. Dear students, I have received queries from the students, received very queries from the students, and I got to know that they got 80 above marks in this paper from taking the guidance from us. They are fetching such a good marks. So this is a very scoring paper, of course. This is a very interesting paper, of course, but of course the dynamicness of this paper make it more interesting. Every year changes in international taxation aspects. If you go every year, the things are coming, new things are coming. So that makes this paper more interesting. Along with the Income Tax Act, you should know how to interpret and understand the treaties. Then only you can answer the questions. So all things you have to keep in mind, and बस आपको ध्यान रखना है. यू हैव टू बी वेरी केयरफुल कि आपने यू हैव रीड द फैक्ट्स वेरी केयरफुली, बहुत अच्छे से पढ़े लिए आपने, अंडरस्टैंड द रिक्वायरमेंट बहुत अच्छे से समझ ली, उसके अकॉर्डिंगली आपने एनालाइज किया प्रोविजंस को, फैक्ट्स को, एंड अप्लाई किया प्रोविजंस को. दीज आर द थिंग्स. सो दिस इज अ इलस्ट्रेटिव पेपर पैटर्न. वन ऑफ द which I found very difficult in this paper is I'm not getting any queries from you students. If in case of any doubt, please ask me. I'm here to guide you only. I will be very happy to answer your queries. So in case of any doubts you are having relating to this paper, you can ask. Right? So what I'm saying, in relating to that, what I feel very challenging for attempting this paper is the selection of the case studies. It is really a very difficult task. You have to, read the 5 case studies with such a lot of information. 22 to 25 pages, 25 to 30 pages paper it generally. उतने paper you have to read, then you have to choose. So आपको जो 15 minutes का time मिलता है, that 15 minutes time, whatever you got the 15 minutes time for answering the reading time. So utilize that 15 minutes time. आपको क्या करना है, what you have to do is that in 15 minutes, I know 15 minutes maybe it's not possible to read all the case studies along with its MCQs and choose the case studies. For that purpose, I will tell you, अगर आपको यहाँ पे 15 minutes के बाद भी आपको 20 minutes, 25 minutes you spend for the selection, that would be fine. No issues at all. In case you are not able to choose 4, you are able to choose at least 3. Start doing your 3 case studies. Then 4th वाली choice you do later on. First आप 3 कर लो, then you do their 4th case studies का selection करना. अब selection on what basis you have to do the selection is based on your MCQs. What do you have to do? Facts तो बहुत सारे होंगे. Many facts are there, and if you start reading the facts, you will definitely gone mad. Will scared कि what questions going to ask from these things. Facts तो बहुत होते हैं. Many facts are there. तो first, for selecting purpose, what you do, you read the MCQs and read the descriptive questions. उसी time में whenever you are reading, keep in mind, bring to your mind what are the provisions applicable to answer these questions. Have you have this idea? Are you aware of all the provisions which is being tested in this MCQs? If it is yes, then it's well and good. आपको MCQs आते 10 marks के MCQs, if you fetch 10 marks out of 25 marks, that also it's fine. 40% you are fetching, बहुत अच्छे से आ गए. फिर descriptive में भी आपने देखा, descriptive में questions are very familiar. These questions are related to the provisions which you are very well aware of. So select based on these things. आपने selection कर लिया. When you selected and started doing that case study, don't take a back turn. It will unnecessarily waste your time. If you take a back turn and thought of कि नहीं, this case is really very difficult and you are not going to fetch any marks, then don't take a back turn. You keep on doing that only. क्योंकि पता चलेगा you dropped it and picked it up another case study. You unnecessarily waste a lot of time. Or second उस case study में भी there are the certain issues which you are not aware of. So avoid such kind of things. Select initially. 2 कर पा रही हो, 2 से स्टार्ट कर दो. आपने स्पेंड कर दिया 20 मिनट सिलेक्शन में, उसके बाद आपको नहीं समझ में आ रहा, तो आपको 2 समझ में आ रही है, then start with the 2 case studies. 1 case study start with the 1 case study, which you are very much knowing of. आपने MCQs पढ़े, you have read the MCQs, you have read the descriptive questions, then you start picking the case study and start proceed with the question, answer the questions. ठीक है? So इस तरीके से you have to do very carefully. Don't waste your time opening the things and looking for the answers and everything. Certain questions are there. If you think कि question paper would be difficult, question paper generally it is found कि question paper difficult होता है up to what extent? It's 20%. 10 to 20% question ऐसे होते हैं which are really very difficult. You are not aware of, you are not familiar of. उसमें it requires a lot of analysis, lot of interpretation you need, and which is really out of the box something. To leave those questions, don't bother about this. 80% is in your hand, right? 80% is in your hand. If you have attended 80% very well, then nobody can stop you to fetch 60% or 70% marks in this paper. Focus on that 80% then. Leave about this 20% things. Okay, so this is the thing which you have to be very carefully. You have to keep in mind while selecting the paper, while managing the time in your examination. Around 40 to 45 minutes you allot for each case study. 40 to 45 minutes for each case study. And remaining time you should go through, or जो questions नहीं आते, you are not aware of, you can leave the space, of course, for relating to that question. For example, 25 marks, you have attempted MCQs very well. आपने 5 marks का another question भी बहुत अच्छे से कर लिया. Remaining 5 marks आपको 2 or 3 questions आएंगे descriptive question from this 15 marks में. So you have done 2 questions very well. एक question you are not aware of, नहीं आ रहा, आपको समझ में नहीं आ रहा, you are not able to understand the requirement, it's so tricky, so you can leave the space and you just come back after doing the other case studies, after attempting other MCQs, then you can easily attempt that. But you have to solve all the questions in a continuity. It's not like that one case study question yahan kiya, then second case study question kiya, then the third. You should not do like this, right? ये तो बहुत small things, but definitely it makes a difference. Because certain students do like that. कि उन्होंने एक क्वेश्चन यहाँ कर दिया one case study का, then another question of the other case study. So don't unnecessarily do this thing. In continuation, you have to do all the questions of of a case study at one place. In case you don't know the answer, you can leave a space. ठीक है, these are all the things. MCQs का I already told you. Now one more important question here is relating to what all can you take to the examination hall. This is really very important. First of all, Income Tax Act and Income Tax Rule is very essential to take to the examination hall. That too very as per the Finance Act 22 is relevant, so that one act you should take to your exam hall, and your income tax rules also, plus your study material, your supplementary study paper this time of both means Paper-6C supplementary study paper and Paper-7 supplementary study paper you should take to your examination, and the modules, study material of both the papers, Paper-6C and Paper-7 study material. These things you should take to your examination, and of course anything, your own handwritten notes also you can take to your examination. You can carry these things to your exam. Rules, why I'm saying rules, because it sometimes happens that everything is not covered, all rules it's not possible to cover in the study mat and all, or you are not aware of certain things like 15 CB there are lists where you have to fill the form of 15 CB, you have to give the information which are not taxable at all. So that list ke liye you have to go and see the rules. So sometimes the questions being asked which are have to be answered based on the rules itself. So for those purpose you have to bring the rules with yourself. ठीक है, income, your study material, the supplementary study material of both the papers, Paper-6C and 7, October 21 edition, supplementary study paper for Paper-6C and 7, Income Tax Act and Income Tax Rules, along with your handwritten notes if you are having, and if you are marked also, then no issue. There is no restriction for you to carry what you can carry to your examination. So these things, some general questions being asked by the students, do we are required to write the section numbers? Dear students, it's an open examination. And section number, of course, you are supposed to write the section numbers, and it should be correct also. You need not to learn the section numbers, but for reading the Income Tax Act without section number is not possible. Section numbers are very essential to remember the provisions. So writing of section number is expected from you. Right? And straightforward section numbers will not be given to your question. Questions में नहीं आएंगे, generally नहीं आएंगे. What sections have to be applied? You have to analyze and apply yourself. You have to identify which section is applicable. So you should write the section numbers. This is an open paper and you can easily write the section numbers. This will fetch good marks. It will add value to your answers. So write the section numbers. Next question, assumptions. Assumptions में क्या होगा? This is, direct tax laws or international taxation. These papers are subject to assumptions because certain information होती है जो नहीं clearly is given in the examination. For that, you have to take certain assumption. For example, it's a very basic assumption. Whatever assumption you are taking now, you have to clearly state in your exam, in your answer sheet, right? You have to clearly state it. Whatever assumption you are taking in. Okay. Whatever. So if the information is not given, clearly state your assumption that based on assuming this thing, you are solving the answer. So state your assumption clearly in the examination. Length of answer. क्या होनी चाहिए length? As I told you, it is as per the requirement of the question and in commensuration with the marks of the question. Right? So these are the queries, general queries, which you have to keep in mind while doing the preparation and while attempting the paper. Now, I will tell you some technical things, technical aspects where the students gone wrong, where you should be very careful while attempting the answer. For example, the residential status. Let's take the non-resident. We have seen that a very high weightage is being given to the transfer pricing in past examinations and in the non-resident taxation. Huge weightage, around 30 to 35%, 30 to 35% being asked from these two chapters only. And non-resident taxation, of course, cannot be complete without model tax conventions, right? Model tax convention, which are specifically related to model tax conventions, are also very huge. Black money law, of course, is also one or two questions or more than one or two questions being asked on black money law also. Equalization levy is again very important. DTA is again a very important thing. So, unki weightage hai, but huge weightage is given to the non-resident taxation and transfer pricing provisions. Non-resident taxation की बात करें, if you talk about non-resident taxation begins with the determination of the residential status. Of course, it is very basic residential status. It was introduced to you in the residential status concept when you were in the intermediate level. First time, when you began your studies of CA course at intermediate level, income tax paper was first introduced to you. There you have studied the residential status. Now, after this past 2-3 years, residential status becomes so difficult to determine. You have to read, you have to, practice a lot to determine the residential status. Until and unless your residential status is correct, your answer cannot be correct. Residential status is the basic thing, but it is very essential thing for international taxation purpose. Residential status is not only for doing your income tax act. It is equally relevant for your black money law also. It is equally relevant for your model tax convention also. So, residential status ka kya hai? How it is relevant for you? I have one example where I will show you that how the residential status is equally relevant for your black money law as well. Residential status में क्या है? You all know what are the conditions you have to see. Section 6.1, Section 6.1a, Section 6.6, ROR, RNOR, Section 6.2. So Section 6 is for residential status. In Section 6, I will say Section 6.1 में if you go, it is for individuals. That they stay in India matters to determine the residential status of an individual. Right? Stay in India. So, क्या है वहां पे? What is this? Let's take just quickly revise. I'm not going to take you in detail how to determine the residential status, but I just want to just link it with the black money law and link it with the model tax conventions, or take some of the few examples or some more few things which are really very essential. You should know them, and you should be very careful while doing your answer. Certain times it happens कि हम residential status we are not able to compute properly और इस वजह से हमारा क्वेश्चन का आंसर गलत हो जाता है. ठीक है, तो आपके लिए क्या what matters? Stay in India matters of course for determine the residential status. क्या है? First is your 182 days or more. Stay in India matters during the previous year. I'm not writing everything. I'm just briefly discussing you, not covering each and every aspect of it. Just briefly discussing कि आपको कहाँ पे where you can where the chances of mistakes are there. Only those things. 182 days or more आपको पता है is relevant. Then your stay 60 days or more plus 365 days or more during 4 years immediately preceding the current previous year. Current previous year. ये हुआ another important. पहले तो ये था. Now one more they been introduced, the stays period 120 days. 120 days or more. Here it is not only 120 days or more. Here again you have to check and see 365 days or more during 4 years preceding the previous year. Where this 120 days condition will be applicable instead of these two basic conditions. Where they are applicable. May I know from you if you can answer? Where you have to, this 120 days or more plus 365 days condition is applicable to check the residential status. I want you to answer where this 120 days instead of this 182 days or 60 days or more or this thing. Where we have to see 120 days or more, let's say 65 days or more during the 4 years preceding the previous year. You have to answer, please. See, this 120 days or more plus 365 days condition is applicable for an Indian citizen. Very important. Or person of Indian origin who is having income, total income other than, who is having total income other than foreign source exceeding 15 lakhs. In this case, and who comes on a, and who comes on a visit to India. ठीक है, जो विजिट पे आएगा उस पे देखना है. इफ अ पर्सन हु इज परमानेंटली रिटर्निंग बैक टू इंडिया, परमानेंटली सेटलमेंट के लिए, इफ द पर्सन इज कमिंग, in that case you need not to see this 120 days or more condition plus 65 days or more. You have to see the 60 days or more. ठीक है, अब आपको you have to be very careful. You have to look for this information, whether the person is coming permanently to settle in India or the person is coming on a visit. If he is coming on a visit, then again what information you need? You need the information of total income of the previous year other than the foreign source income which exceeds 15 lakh rupees. If the income is less, then again you need to go and see the 120 days plus 365 days condition. What happens? बच्चे क्या करते हैं यहाँ पे? They miss the 365 days. If a person is coming on a visit for 30 days or this year for 120 days or more, but in earlier years he was coming only for 30 days, तो वहाँ पे 365 की condition satisfy नहीं होगी. That person will not be a resident in that case. तो ये आपको बहुत अच्छे से ध्यान रखना है. Plus one important thing, if a person is coming permanently to settle in India, in that case, he was not here earlier for some time and after a long time he was coming back. तो इस केस में क्या होगा? आपको suppose during the previous year he is satisfy these condition of 120 days satisfy किया या 182 days satisfy किया, then 60 days का condition satisfy किया. If he is permanently coming, then you need not to see the 120 days plus 65 day condition. You have to see the 60 days or more plus 65 days or 182 days or more. उसके बाद if he satisfy these condition, then he will be RNOR in case no other information is given for the last previous years. Then you have to consider him as RNOR in the absence of the last information, because he are coming back for for the period earlier only for 30 days, 20 days, 10 days. Then that information will not make him ROR. That case he will become RNOR. And once he become a RNOR, the taxability, the chargeability, the scope of total income would undergo change. The income which accrues or arise outside India will not be taxable, except the income from business control or profession set up in India. Only that income would be come into total income, right? So यहाँ पे you have to मतलब यहाँ पे आपको देखना है कि on what basis he will become resident or he will become RNOR और ROR, these things. आपने ये देख लिया, आइडेंटिफाई कर लिया, प्लस आपको ये पता है यू शुड नो इफ द पर्सन हु इज नॉट बिकमिंग resident by virtue of section 6(1), then another section 6(1)(a की, again you have to check the section 6(1)(a). What is the 6(1)(a)? Section 6(1)(a) is deemed resident. ठीक है, deemed resident again क्या होगा भाई? deemed resident stay मैटर नहीं करता. For a deemed resident, stay doesn't matter. A person who is not a resident as per section 6(1), then he can become a deemed resident. So stay यहाँ पे मैटर नहीं करेगा. What here matter? Only an Indian citizen. First of all, keep in mind, only an Indian citizen can be a deemed resident who is having a person of Indian origin. नहीं लिखा यहाँ पे. In the provision, they have not written person of Indian origin. It is written only an Indian citizen who is having total income other than foreign source income. Other than foreign source income. Exceeding, what is here? Exceeding 15 lakh rupees plus not liable to tax in other country. So ये सारी इंफॉर्मेशन आपको देखनी पड़ेगी. यू हैव टू लुक फॉर दिस इंफॉर्मेशन. देख लीजिए, क्योंकि डीम्ड रेजिडेंट अगर वो पर्सन बन गया तो द इनकम विच इज फ्रॉम बिजनेस कंट्रोल और प्रोफेशन सेटअप इन इंडिया वुड बिकम चार्जेबल इन हिज हैंड्स, राइट. नॉन रेजिडेंट और इसमें यही डिफरेंस होगा. बाय डिफॉल्ट ही वुड बी RNOR. अ डीम्ड रेजिडेंट बाय डिफॉल्ट बिकम अ RNOR, and once he become a RNOR, the income from business control or profession set up in India would become taxable in his hands. So not liable to tax in India. So ये वाली information tax in other country, not liable to tax in other country by virtue of any reason, by virtue of his domicile or other state legislation. इसकी वजह से वो डीम्ड रेजिडेंट बन गया, तो ये बिकम RNOR. ये क्या होता है? RNOR होता है. इस केस में आपका स्कोप ऑफ टोटल इनकम विल अंडरगो चेंज. For your DTA provisions, of course, it's very important. For your income tax provisions, certain provisions are such which are applicable for a resident only, and the non-resident cannot take the benefit of those provisions. For non-residents, certain special rates are being given. For non-residents के case में certain special rates are being given. Certain special benefits are being given. Those are different. So you should first determine the residential status correctly. Only then your answer can be correct. So this is very important. Now हमने देखा कि it's important in the Income Tax Act also. It is equally important for black money law also. How? In black money law, where it's applicable? Black money law is applicable on every assessee. Every assessee is liable for tax at the rate of 30% in respect of undisclosed foreign income. This is distinct foreign income and asset. ठीक है? Undisclosed asset and undisclosed foreign income of the previous year. So यहाँ पे क्या हुआ? Assessee. This assessee word. Who is an assessee here? Assessee कौन होता है? Section 2(2) of the black money law says an assessee is a person. Assessee has to pay, is liable to pay tax. Then who is an assessee? Assessee is a person who is a resident in India as within the meaning of Section 6 of the Income Tax Act, जो हमने अभी determine किया. He is a resident during the previous year. During the previous year, he is a resident. And if he is not resident during the previous, what will happen then? In that case, they are saying, leave apart. If he is not resident during the previous year itself, then you have to see and check whether he was resident in the year, when the undisclosed asset was acquired or the undisclosed income was related to. क्या कह रहे हैं? What is the second clause they are saying? B clause. B clause is saying if a person being a non-resident, or RNOR, ठीक है, during the year he was not resident in India, and he is a non-resident hai, and he is an RNOR, then if that person who was resident in the year, in either the previous year to which the income relate, or in the previous year in which the undisclosed asset located outside India was acquired. This is very important. In that case, your black money law provisions will be applicable. तो आपको इसी साल का नहीं निकालना ओनली रेजिडेंशियल स्टेटस. आपने कहा कि मेरा करंट प्रीवियस ईयर, आपका प्रीवियस ईयर 22-23 है, असेसमेंट इज 23-24, इस साल वो नॉन रेजिडेंट हो गया, he become non-resident. तो यहाँ पे और things will not end. You have to determine his residential status for the year for which the income relates to, and again for which the undisclosed assets were acquired. So for those years also you have to determine the residential, assuming the same provisions applicable होंगे. अगर आपके पास, if you are having income tax, of course you have to determine it accordingly for those years. If information is not available, both ways में you have to answer. Information is not available, you have the Income Tax Act open for exam, then you have to apply the provision whatever given in the act itself. Okay, so उस years के लिए you have to determine the residential status also. यहाँ पे one thing which generally being black money में 1 or 2 questions being asked कि क्या होगा. Undisclosed asset, you know that it is taxable in the year in which it comes to the notice of the assessing officer. Assessment undisclosed asset is charged to tax in the previous year in which such asset comes to the notice of the assessing officer. And income, in case of income, for in the previous year for which it relates to. ठीक है. अब यहाँ पे डाउट क्या आता है? What is the doubt? What is the thing which you can go wrong? That this black money law itself comes with effective from assessment year 16-17. आपके कब से हुआ है? असेसमेंट है 16-17 से. आपकी इनकम इज टैक्सेबल इन द ईयर विच रिलेट्स टू, उससे साल के मान के उसको टैक्स करेंगे हम. अगर मान लो सपोज let's take an example. Let's see this example I have with me. Let me explain this concept with the help of this example. Here Suraj, an ex-director of Mani Company Limited, was running a proprietary business in Delhi. He left India and settled in UK from 1/4/2016 से. He had never left India previously since April 2008. मतलब नहीं किया था, 2016 तक तो थे वो यहाँ पे, अप्रैल 2008 से वो यहाँ पे थे इंडिया में. And he acquired a property in the financial year 23-24 at Malaysia under invoicing his export sales bills of 200 lakhs. Assessing officer came to know this in the March 2023, previous year 22-23 May. He comes to know that he has some undisclosed asset which he acquired in the year 2013-14. Then he issued a notice. He issued a notice under section 10 in this 27(3). अब assessee बोल रहा है कि he is not here during the previous year. He is a non-resident. What will happen? The black money law is not applicable on me. How you can issue a notice to me? Valid है? Is the notice valid? Is the contention of the assessee is right? See, he is non-resident. कब? In the previous year 22-23. But the property is related to previous year 23-24 in which he was resident. ठीक है, 23-24 से लेट करिए, तब तक आपका ब्लैक मनी लॉ नहीं आया था. बट ब्लैक मनी लॉ क्या बोलता है? एसएससी की डेफिनेशन में आ जाएगा और वहां पे ब्लैक मनी लग जाएगा इन केस ऑफ अनडिस्क्लोज एसेट. He was not, but this asset is taxable in the year in which it comes to the notice. This asset is taxable in the previous year, taxable in the previous year 22-23, right? It is not taxable in the previous year 13-14. तो इसके effectiveness के problem नहीं undisclosed asset के case में. The problem arises where? In case of undisclosed income. Suppose some income was being not taxed in India, which become undisclosed. Okay? And he has not the foreign income which is taxable in India, but it was undisclosed, it become untaxed during the previous year 13-14. Will it become taxable? See, income ke case mein it will not become taxable. Not taxable. Why? Because effective assessment year 16-7 से black money law तब था ही नहीं. But undisclosed asset क्यों हुआ? Because it is taxable in the year in which it comes to the notice of the assessing officer. ये पॉइंट बहुत अच्छे से ध्यान रखना. ठीक है, तो आपको रेजिडेंशियल स्टेटस जिस साल नोटिस इशू हुआ उसका भी देखोगे एंड द असेसमेंट प्रीवियस ईयर इन विच द एसेट वाज एक्वायर्ड उसका भी देखोगे. In case of undisclosed income, if it is related to prior assessment years, that is assessment 16-17 से पहले का है, suppose, तो it will not make any difference. If that person was resident also, then also it would not be taxable. ठीक है? So this is the thing which you have to keep in mind while doing the black money law. इस केस में क्या हुआ? इस केस में issue of notice is tenable in law. Since financial 13-14, when the property was acquired in Malaysia, he was resident ROR by virtue of section 6066. Though he is non-resident in the previous year 22-23. उस टाइम पे वो था भाई resident. इस बार नहीं है, no issues. It is taxable in this previous year only. So the notice is valid. So residential status in that way is really very, very important. What else? You know that in case of TDS provisions, for resident, TDS rates pay, you need not to apply the surcharge or education cess. But while determining the TDS liability for a non-resident, you have to include, what you have to include? You have to include surcharge if applicable or HEC. Surcharge is applicable because surcharge is dependent on your total income. Okay. Whereas HEC is compulsorily you have to pay. So TDS rate में difference आएगा. Plus your certain things like 115 BAC. 115 BAC is applicable for both. It's not that it is applicable only for resident only. Non-resident also can opt for 115 BAC. Very essential information. You have to look for this information whether the assessee is opting for BAC or not. If he is opting, standard deduction आपको salaries में नहीं मिलेगी. Especially DTA question. DTA based question होगा. Specifically, it makes a difference. Your rebate under section 90 will undergo change based on the option the assessee is availing. Tax liability will undergo change accordingly. Your rebate will undergo change. ये चीज हो गया. 80 TTA की बात करें. If 80 TTA की बात करें, it's available for both. दोनों को मिलता है रेजिडेंट और नॉन. बट 80 TTB नहीं मिलता. 80 TTB is applicable to only senior citizen. Senior citizen means a person, individual who is of the age of 60 years or more and resident in India. Senior citizen की definition में है resident in India. So 80D की बात करें, if you talk about 80D, higher standard deduction, higher deduction मिलती है if he is a person senior citizen. But वो resident नहीं है, then the higher limit will not be applicable. For those things you have to be extra careful. आपको देखना है, you have to identify resident है, non-resident है, that provision is applicable only for resident, not for non-resident. Special rates are given in case of resident section 115A में. Special rates are given. So those things you have to look for the information, what information is given, accordingly see and apply the provisions. Model tax conventions, if you talk about, in model tax convention, again, residential status is very important. Why? To take the benefit of treaty, the person should be a resident of one or more, either of the contracting state or both. In case he become a resident for both, then of course you have to again go and apply the tiebreaker rule to determine the residency for which he will be considered as a resident. वहां पे भी it's very important. तो आपको बहुत पहले बहुत क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, मैनी क्वेश्चंस बीइंग आस्क्ड, वो डिपेंडेंट होते हैं इस पे, और आपके आंसर्स भी अकॉर्डिंगली डिपेंडेंट होते हैं. व्हाट एल्स other than this in transfer pricing? What is basically in transfer pricing? Secondary adjustment 92CA, generally been question being asked. Interplay between section 92CE, interplay between section 92CE and 94B क्या है? Secondary adjustment, you know, when a primary adjustment is made, then you have the excess money the assessee is required to repatriate. ठीक है? In case if he is not able to repatriate, then he has to pay the interest. Another option is given. Additionally, he can pay additional income tax on this excess money. अब आए डिसअलाउंस की बात करें. 94B में डिसअलाउंस इज अट्रैक्टेड इन रिस्पेक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट पेड टू अ नॉन रेजिडेंट. एएलपी एडजस्टमेंट, सेकेंडरी एडजस्टमेंट क्या है, प्राइमरी एडजस्टमेंट क्या है? प्राइमरी एडजस्टमेंट इज एएलपी एडजस्टमेंट which is suo motu if the assessee is doing. It is can be made by the assessing officer itself. Suo motu he can be made. Advanced pricing agreement की वजह से it can be made. Safe harbor rules अभी as present नहीं है आपके लिए. There are no safe harbor rules. Is arising as a result of resolution mutual agreement map की वजह से है. So in this case primary adjustment you have to make. Primary adjustment हुआ है, then you have to carry out the secondary adjustment. If it exceeds 1 crore, right? The primary adjustment if exceeds 1 crore, right? And it is in respect of assessment year 16-17. आपका ये assessment अभी current से नहीं related करेगा, earlier assessment के लिए relation भी question can be asked. If it is related to in respect of A by 16-17, not 16-17, shall not be. Such secondary adjustment shall not be carried out if it does not exceed 1 crore or is in respect of assessment 16-17 or an earlier assessment year. So 17-18 के बाद से ही लगेगा, 17-18 or thereafter. Or if it exceeds 1 crore rupees, then only secondary adjustment will be applicable. Of which one has to make first? Secondary adjustment or 94B का allowance, disallowance? What you have to make first? See, TP adjustment. If the assessee himself is doing, then he has to do the TP adjustment first. What he has to do? He has to do the TP adjustment first, right? Then take the interest to the ALP label. Then apply the provisions of section 94B. ठीक है? 94B you have to apply. उसके बाद जो आपने ALP adjustment है plus 30% of EBITDA है, this is your interest. Suppose this is 100 is your interest and 30% of EBITDA से ज्यादा है. 100 आपका इंटरेस्ट था which you are paying to AE. 10 लाख आपका 100 lakhs का आपका EBITDA था, 30% EBITDA 30 lakhs, आप 30 lakhs से अलाउबल है. 100 lakhs को पहले आप लेके आए ALP जिसने क्या 80 lakhs का, तो डिसअलाउंस यहाँ पे कितनी की अट्रैक्ट होगी? 50 lakhs की 94B में. वेयर इज प्राइमरी एडजस्टमेंट कितने की हुई? ALP एडजस्टमेंट 20 lakhs की. फर्स्ट suo motu, then ALP adjustment first. Accordingly, your disallowance will change. Let's take this example quickly. Here, the EBITDA of a company, Indian company, for previous year 22-23 is given as 10 crore. What is it? It's given 10 crore. It paid interest of 5.20 crore to PQRing. How much interest is paid? 5.20 crore, which is a specified foreign company in relation to ABC. As per the cup method, the arm length price is 4.15 crore. And ABC Limited, suo motu made the adjustment. कितना करेंगे? 10 crore है, 30% of EBITDA is 3 crores. ठीक है? How much in he is paying? 5.2 crore. ठीक है? अब 4 आर्म लेंथ प्राइस आपने कितना निकाला? 4.15. EBITDA भी भूल जाओ, 4.15. तो आपको इसमें एडजस्टमेंट कितनी करेगी? प्राइमरी एडजस्टमेंट कितने की होगी? 1.05 करोड़ की क्या होगी? दिस इज ALP एडजस्टमेंट. जब आपने ALP एडजस्टमेंट कर दिया, you have bring down your interest portion to 4.15, then you have to compare this 4.15 with this 3 crore. With this 3 को 1.15 की और 94B disallowance. So here the arm length adjustment under section 92CE. 92CE it is would be 1.05 crore. 1.05 crore. And then your 1.15 crore is excess interest under section 94B. So this is the correct answer. First you have to do the ALP adjustment, then you are going to do your 94B disallowance. This is the interplay between these two things. You have to be extra attentive to look for the information while doing a secondary adjustment. Interest computation आई है. Then you have to be a bit careful and look for the information whether the transaction is denominated in foreign currency, whether the transaction is denominated in Indian rupees. आपका रेट वेरी करेगा. ठीक है. Additional income tax कंपनी ने from which date the company has paid the additional income tax. So 90 days का period जब से आपका ड्यू हुआ, from that date you have to compute and pay the interest. जैसे ही paid the company, the interest portion will be accordingly computed or will be removed. These things. Equalization levy, very very important, very very important. Equalization levy. Many things are important in the whatever been given. Everything is important, of course. In equalization levy, what mistakes you can do while doing your equalization levy is two sections are there in equalization levy. First is section 165, then 165A, newly brought, not last year's. So 165 where it is applicable. Let me just quickly take you through this equalization levy provisions. Equalization levy ये कब लगता है? ऑनलाइन एडवर्टाइजमेंट मेनली. ठीक है. ऑन कंसिडरेशन रिसीव्ड बाय द असेसी बीइंग अ नॉन रेजिडेंट होगा जो फॉर स्पेसिफाइड सर्विसेज के लिए, फॉर स्पेसिफाइड सर्विसेज. यहां पे the person who is paying the equalization, who is paying the consideration has to deduct. यहां पे क्या करें? डिडक्शन है. दिस इज डिडक्शन at the rate 6%. He himself has to deduct it. Whereas here it is the person who is getting the income has to pay at the rate 2% provided the conditions are satisfied. First 165 देखेंगे. अगर if it is falling within the purview of section 165, then आपका 165 अट्रैक्ट नहीं होगा इन रिस्पेक्ट ऑफ दो सर्विस इन ऑनलाइन एडवर्टाइजमेंट. सपोज if it is not falling within the purview of section 165, suppose due to the applicability conditions or non-applicability condition specified in section 165, then you have to see and check 165 is it not applicable, attracted or not. Oh, you have to see that one. Okay. So, and what else in relation to royalty and FTS? रॉयल्टी एंड एफटीएस के केस में क्या होता है? वेयर द पेमेंट इज क्लासिफाइड एज अ रॉयल्टी और एफटीएस. फर्स्ट आपको देखिए रॉयल्टी और एफटीएस तो नहीं बन रहा. सेक्शन 9 वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. विदाउट इट तो पॉसिबल ही नहीं है. सेक्शन 9 वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. बहुत अच्छे से यू हैव टू सी बिजनेस कनेक्शन, सिग्निफिकेंट इकोनॉमिक प्रेजेंस, योर एफटीएस, योर रॉयल्टी, your interest, everything, salaries paid outside India, those things. Deeming provision, where the income is deemed to accrue or rise in India. So equalization levy में आपको देखना है if the payment is in the nature of FTS or royalty, वो exclude कर दिए from the purview of section 165A. On those payments आपका फिर आपको इनकम टैक्स एक्ट के प्रोविजंस लगेंगे रॉयल्टी और एफटीएस के लिस्ट में. अगर वो रॉयल्टी एफटीएस नहीं बन रहा, यू हैव टू सी फर्स्ट. बन गया, यू गो टू इनकम टैक्स एक्ट. इफ इट इज नॉट, देन यू हैव टू कम अगेन एंड सी इज इट नॉट इक्वलाइजेशन लेवी इज अट्रैक्टेड और नॉट. यू हैव टू सी इट एंड एनालाइज दीज प्रोविजंस. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। रॉयल्टी एंड एफटीएस के केस में रॉयल्टी स्पेसिफिक रेट्स आर बीइंग गिवन। PE in India or not in India makes a difference in its taxability. The rates specified in the DTA, the rates specified in the Act are very relevant. Whichever is beneficial, of course, you have to see whatever the rates are beneficial, you have to apply. While determining the TDS, you are going to determine the TDS attracted or not. First, आपको क्या देखना है? Is it taxable in India or not? Section 9 देखोगे जाके वहां उस receipt पे. Because Section 195 says, what 95 says? Where the sum is chargeable to tax in India, on that you have to deduct the TDS. Okay, so you have to see and go to the Section 9 again. Whether such sum payable to it, the non-resident, is chargeable to tax in India or not. 195 you have to see. TDS की rate आपने compare करेंगे with the DTA rate and with the Income Tax Act rate. Suppose both are 10%. Which you are going to take? As per Section 115A लग रहा है, if it's 115A provision. DTA में it's for 10% is given. Which rate you are going to take? In case of income tax rate पे surcharge also applicable according to the income, total income, and your HEC also. दोनों लगेंगे. Whereas in case of DTA, the rates are inclusive of surcharge and HEC. वहां पे inclusive होती है rates. There you need not to apply the surcharge or HEC. These rates are inclusive of both. So definitely DTA rates are beneficial. जहां पे आपने DTA देख लिया, फिर आपको exemption है, आपको पता होगा Section 115 ने provides exemption where the FTS पे if your TDS has been deducted, you need not to file, only you are having the FTS income only, no other income the assessor is having, then you need not to file the return of income. But in case where the rate provided in DTA, the TDS is deducted at the rate which is lower than the rate specified in the Income Tax Act, such exemption is not available. So, आपने क्या क्या beneficial rate you have taken 10%, but you are not exempted from filing the return of income. You have to file the return income. आपको 10% था plus HEC तो है ही without seeing your this total income. अगर आपका HEC surcharge भी लग जाता है, it become higher. So your DTA rate become lower than the Income Tax Act rate. Then you would not be exempted from filing the return of income. ये सब information, this all information you have to analyze. You have to integrate the provisions together. Only then you would be able to answer the questions. Very interesting. See, I have so many things to explain you, but it would not be completed. So, whatever your doubt, you can ask us definitely through the BOS Knowledge Portal. There is a query link. There you ask me queries in case you are having. Believe in yourself. If you have prepared well, focus on your preparation first. Leave out the results. Results are dependent on our preparation. If you prepare well, then you are going to perform well. So, dear students, with these lines, I would like to close my session and will say, just believe in yourself. This is a crucial time for you, and you all are busy in preparing your things. Keep on preparing for your examination very, very, very well. Take care of your health also. Healthy mind stays in healthy body only. Take care of your health. Believe in yourself. Do prepare well. In case of your any query you are having, because many things are there which are really very crucial things which you have can undergo wrong, which are there. For this purpose, you can also view our last time session, which was the BOS for success session, which we have conducted for May 23 examination. There we have taken certain examples. With the help of examples, we explain certain provisions also. So must review that also. Right? And in case queries, you can definitely write to me, write to us on our BOS knowledge portal. Thank you, Girish. Thank you. I hope that you found my session helpful and fruitful. Wish you all the very best. And definitely, if you have done well, you have prepared well, you are going to perform well. That's my thing. All the very best to you for your examination. Girish, you can write to us on our BOS knowledge portal. There is a query app where you can ask your queries. There is a query app. In the BOS knowledge portal, you should download that BOS knowledge portal. वहाँ पे it's very friendly app and you must have that app. Very friendly and mobile friendly things are, these apps are really very helpful for you. You can just raise your queries on to us in case of any query. Right? Thank you, Girish. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for listening and be here. Thank you so much. Yeah, we can close. Thank